listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is not something I say lightly. I have been doing this work for a very long time, and I heard thousands of stories. But what came through when I sat down with your energy, your story, what I felt hit me right here, right in the center of my chest. And I actually had to stop for a second. I had to close my eyes, take a breath, and just feel what was coming through. Because it wasn't light, it wasn't a surface level, it was something heavy. It was the feeling of someone who gave everything they had. Every ounce of love, every ounce of energy, every ounce of hope. And then, when there was nothing left, they got up the next morning and gave some more. Some more. And somewhere along the way, the person on the other end of all of this, all of that, just let it fall into the ground like it meant nothing. Like you meant nothing. And I need you to hear me when I say this. Your story, what you actually went through, the real behind closed doors, nobody knows the full version, truth version of your story. It broke my heart. And I know that sounds like something people just say. I know it can sound empty, but I promise you, Spirit doesn't bring energy like this through for no reason. This isn't vague, this isn't random. This is specific, this is targeted. This is for someone watching this right now who has been carrying something so heavy for so long that they forgot what it felt like to put it down. Yeah. I'm so glad you are here. Because what I'm about to walk you through is not just a message. It's a confirmation. It's a mirror. It's the truth you've been waiting for someone to finally speak out loud. Now, let me tell you something. I was sitting here getting ready to start this session, and before I even had a chance to probably start, something fell out, just landed right there on the table. And when I tell you what it was, I need you to understand that isn't a coincidence. This is spirit moving. This is alignment. Because the first thing that showed up was a symbol of something that felt like home to you. And I'm not talking about a place or a house. I'm talking about the feeling of safety, the feeling of being fully seen, fully accepted, appreciated, fully wanted. That's what you built with the person, with this person. You didn't just fall for them. You invested in them. You poured your entire being into this connection because it felt safe. It felt real. It felt like finally, after everything you'd been through, you had found someone who would hold you, who would see you, who would stay. And you showed up fully, completely, without holding anything back. You brought your whole self into that relationship. The good parts, the hard parts, the parts you don't show anyone. You trusted them with all of it. And that's not a flaw. That's not something to be ashamed of. The world might have made you feel like you were too much, too valuable, too giving, too invested. But let me be absolutely clear about this. Your ability to love that deeply, that completely, that is a gift. It's rare, it's extraordinary. And the person who couldn't handle that, that was never about you being too much. That was about them not being enough. Now here's where it gets real. Right alongside that energy of safety and home, there was another symbol that came through. And this one was heavier. This one cut deep. It was the symbol of heartbreak. Real, devastating, soul-shattering heartbreak. The kind that doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't throw things against the wall. It's quiet. It's even invisible. It's the kind where you are standing in your kitchen on a random Friday, making your morning coffee, and it just hits you. They are gone. This is your life now. They are not coming back. And you don't scream, you don't cry in that moment. You just stand there. You drink your coffee, you get dressed, you go out into the world, and you perform being okay, because what other people, what other choice is there? You have to function, you have to survive, but inside you are shattered. And nobody sees it because you're so good at hiding it. That's the kind of heartbreak you experienced. The kind that changes you at a cellular level. The kind that leaves marks that don't show up on your skin but are etched into your soul. And I want to validate that pain right now. Every single ounce of it. What you felt was real. It was valid. It was mattered. And here's something else I was shown. During the darkest stretch of that heartbreak, there were signs. There were little nudges from the universe, from your guides, from whoever watched you over you. Things that showed up just when you needed them most. When you saw repeating numbers at strange times. Maybe you heard a specific song that felt like it was speaking directly to you. Maybe a stranger said something that hit you right in the chest. Those are not coincidences. Those were messages. They were confirmations that you were not alone, even when it felt like you were. Even when you felt completely abandoned, you were being held. You were being carried by something bigger than yourself. And I need you to remember that, because it matters. It matters to know that even in your darkest moments, there was light reaching for you. Even when you couldn't see it, it was there. It'd always be there. Now let me go a little deeper into what was really going on in this relationship, because I think you need to hear it named out loud. What looked like a balanced mutual partnership on the outside was not what it actually was. There was an imbalance, There was a gap in investment. You were giving everything, all of your energy, all of your attention, all of your love. And you were receiving something that looked like love, but didn't feel like love. Maybe you sensed it earlier on. Maybe you had that little voice in the back of your mind telling you something was off. But you ignored it, Or maybe you didn't sense it at all because you were so focused on pouring your love into this person that you never stopped to measure what was coming back. I think the second one. And that's not your fault. You are operating from an open heart. You are being generous with your love. And there is nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful, yeah. But here is the thing that's hard to face. You were also falling in love with a version of them that you built in your imagination. Not because you are naive, not because you are foolish, no, but because you are someone who sees the best in people. You see potential. You see who someone could be at their highest, at their most beautiful, at their most capable. And you loved that version of them with everything you had. You loved the person they could become. And sometimes the person themselves cannot rise to meet that love. They cannot become the version of themselves that you believed in. And that is one of the loneliness, feelings in the world. To love someone's potential more than they love themselves. To see who they could be and watch them choose smallness instead. To hand them a vision of themselves that is so beautiful, so full of possibility, and have them drop it like it meant nothing. That is not your failure. That is not your fault. That is their choice. And you cannot make that choice for them, no matter how much you give. I want to say something about that, the period after it ended. Because I don't think anyone around you really understood what you were going through. When it ended, there was grief. Obviously, there was grief. But there was also something underneath the grief that was even harder to deal with. It was that this enormous, crushing question that kept circling in your mind. Was any of it real? Did I imagine all of it? Did I make the whole thing up? And that specific form of torture, to not knowing what was real and what was constructed, that is a pain that sits in your bones and doesn't leave. It started questioning your own reality. It started questioning your own perception. You wondered if you were crazy, if you had built the entire thing out of nothing, if you had convinced yourself of something that was never really there. And let me say this to you as clearly as I can, as gently as I can. You are not crazy. You did not imagine it. The love you felt was real. The depth of your investment was real. What you experienced in that connection was real. But the other person was not showing up in the same way, and that's not your fault. You were operating on good faith. You were giving from a genuine, heartfelt place. And sometimes people cannot meet you there. Sometimes they receive your love and they don't know what to do with it because they have never been loved like that before. So they push it away. They devalue it. They let it fall to the ground because receiving something that real and that deep requires something of them that they are not ready to give. And that's not on you. That's not on you, the beautiful soul. There was a moment when everything shifted, when the ground moved beneath you so fast that you didn't have time to brace yourself. It was sudden. It was it was jarring, and you went from standing on solid ground to falling, and falling, and then hitting the ground and lying there, wondering what had just happened to your life. And I want to say something about that period. That falling, that breaking, that moment when you hit the ground, you did not fall apart because you were weak. You fell apart because you had been holding everything together for so long that when the one thing you were holding it all together or disappeared, there was nothing left to hold the structure up. That's not weakness. No. That is what happens when someone as strong as you finally runs out of reasons to keep being strong for something that no longer exists. You had been carrying the weight of that relationship on your own for longer than you even realized. You had been the one holding it all together, making it work, pouring into it, giving it life. And when it ended, you collapsed, not because you were weak, no, but because you were exhausted. You had given everything you had, and then some, and there was nothing left. Can I give you permission? Permission to have been broken. Permission to not have had it all together. Permission to have fallen apart. You were supposed to fall apart. That was the appropriate response to what you experienced. And if anyone made you feel like you should have handled it better, should have bounced back faster, should have been stronger, they were wrong. You went through something devastating, and you were allowed to be devastated. But here's what I also saw as I looked deeper into your energy. Something started to shift, something started to change. And it happened in a moment, a single moment of absolute clarity. It was like a fog that had been covering your entire field of vision just suddenly lifted. And you could see everything. You could see what had actually happened. You could see the truth of the relationship. You could see the imbalance, the mismatch, the illusion you had been living in. And in that moment, in that specific moment, something hardened inside you, not in a bitter way, not in a cold way, but in a self-protective, never again way. You started thinking differently. You started asking different questions. Instead of, what is wrong with me? You started asking, what did I learn about myself from this? What did I learn? And that shift from self-blame to self-knowledge, that is the beginning of everything. That is the moment everything changes. Because when you stop wondering what's wrong with you and start understanding what you have learned, you take your power back. Your power back. You move from being a victim of your experience to being a student of it. You start to see the purpose in the pain. That painful. And that doesn't mean the pain goes away. It doesn't. But it stops being meaningless. It stops being something that happened to you and starts being something that happened for you. And that's when the portal opened. That's when the doors started to crack open just a little. Because here's the truth. That's hard to hear, actually. I'm sorry for that. You couldn't have accessed what is available to you now if you had stayed. You could not have grown into who you are becoming if that relationship had continued. And I know that might be hard to accept. I know part of you might still have moments where you wish it had gone differently, where you wish you could have made it work, where you wonder if you should have tried harder. But Spirit is being really clear about this. What ended was not meant to continue. And what is coming cannot arrive until you fully release what was. You are never going to get where you are going while holding on to something that was never meant to be in your life. That relationship was not your destination. It was a detour. It was a lesson. It was a season. And as painful as it was to leave it behind, you had to leave it behind in order to move forward. You had to let go of the person you were in that relationship. You had to let go of the version of yourself that accepted less than you deserved. You had to let go of the belief that you were not worthy of being loved the way you love. And that's not easy. Yeah, I know that's not easy. That's not a quick process. It's messy and it's slow and it hurts. But it's necessary. And then something happened that I want to talk about, because I think you need to hear it described back to you. You started to emerge from the ashes, slowly at first. Yeah, one step forward, 2 steps back, but the overall direction became clear. Up, forward, towards something that actually deserves you. And the person you became on the other side of that heartbreak, is someone I deeply admire, yeah. Because you didn't let the pain make you hard. You didn't let the betrayal make you bitter. You let it make you wise. You let it make you discerning. You let it carve the unnecessary out of you so that what was left was just the truth. Just the essential, just the you that had always been there, waiting to be seen. This version of you knows who she is, or he is. Not because someone told you, but because you tested yourself against real pain and came out knowing. You know the difference between someone who loves you and someone who simply benefits from your love. And you will never confuse those two things again. That's a superpower. That's not something to be sad about. That's something to celebrate. You earned that wisdom. You paid for it with your tears, with your sleepless nights, with the weight you carried alone. And now it's yours. Nobody can take that away from you. Here is what's really interesting. As you were healing, as you were doing that hard, invisible work, something else was happening, something you probably couldn't see at the time. While you were rebuilding yourself, while you were redefining who you were and what you deserved, of course, something was being built around you. A community, a network of people who saw what happened, people who watched you go through it, people who saw the way you were treated, the way you were discarded, the way you were devalued. And they were not okay with it. They saw the injustice. They saw the imbalance. They saw someone who deserved so much more getting so much less. And it moved them, it shook them. And they decided they were going to stand with you. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Because they recognized something real in you. Because they saw a person of substance, a person of depth, a person who was wronged, and they couldn't just stay silent. And I want you to hear this and really let it land. The whole community is on your side now. The people who know you, the people who have watched from the sidelines, the people who saw the truth of what happened, they are not just on your side. They are angry on your behalf. They are demanding justice for you. Not because you asked them to, but because they cannot not. Because they see the disparity. They see what you give versus what you got. And they see the imbalance. They see that you were treated unfairly. They see that you were taken advantage of. They see that you were undervalued. And they are not going to let that go. This community, the people who know you, the people who love you, the people who see you, they are standing up for you in ways you don't even know about. They are speaking about you when you're not in the room. They are defending you when your name comes up. And they are making sure that what happened to you is not going to be swept under the rug. And that's powerful, That's the kind of support that changes things. That's the kind of solidarity that heals wounds. You are not alone. You have never been alone, even when it felt like you were. And now you have people who are actively, unapologetically on your side. And they are not just supporting you quietly. They are making noise. They are demanding justice. They are saying, this was wrong. This person deserved better. And we are not going to pretend like it didn't happen. And that justice, that vindication, I want to say, it's not just about the other person being held accountable. It's not just about making them see what they did. It's about you knowing deep in your soul that you were right, that your pain was legitimate, that your experience was real, that you were not crazy, you were not overreacting, you were not too much. You were dealing with a situation that was deeply unfair. And you had every right to feel everything you felt. The validation you're receiving from this community, it's not just nice to have. It's necessary. It's part of your healing. Because when a whole group of people sees what happened to you and says, that was wrong, and we're not okay with it, it helps, It helps you see the truth more clearly. It helps you trust yourself again. It helps you stop gaslighting yourself into thinking it wasn't that bad. It was that bad. And everyone around you knows it. Now let me talk about what's coming, because I need you to know this. The balance is being restored. You gave so much for so long, and the scales were so heavily tipped in one direction. You pouring in them, taken out, that the universe simply couldn't let that stand. The energy is shifting. What you gave out is coming back to you now. Not from the person who took it, but from the life itself, from new connections, from your own expansion, from the doors that are opening because you finally stopped standing in the doorway of something that was never going to let you fully in. You closed the door. And that act of closure, that act of choosing yourself, it opened 20 other doors you couldn't even see before. And I want you to understand this. What is coming is so much bigger, richer, more aligned, and more beautiful than everything that was lost. I promise you that. I can see it. I can feel it. It's sitting right there in your energy field, waiting for you to be ready. And you are ready. Maybe you don't feel ready. Maybe you still feel a little shaky. But readiness is not about feeling confident. Readiness is about being willing. And you are willing. You've been willing for a while. You just needed permission from yourself to receive something bigger. So give you permission, give yourself permission, that permission right there, right here, right now, from spirit, from the universe, from the energy that has been guiding you through every step of this. You are allowed to have something good. You are allowed to be happy. You are allowed to be seen, valued, cherished, and held. You are allowed to have a love that doesn't make you feel like you are too much or not enough. You are allowed to be loved the way you love. And it's coming. It's already on its way. There is something else I'm feeling, something about abundance. Not just emotional abundance, but real, grounded, physical world abundance. New stability, new foundations. Something that makes you feel like you are building something that actually belongs to you. Yeah. Something that nobody can take from you because it is rooted in who you actually are. Not who you tried to be for someone else. So this is a new chapter. And it's not just a new chapter. It's a whole new book. The old version, the old story is over. The new one is being written and you are the author now. You get to decide what happens next. You get to decide who is in your life. You get to decide what you access and what you walk away from. You get to decide the value you place on yourself. And that is the most powerful position you could possibly be in. Yeah, most powerful. Now, I want to talk about this new energy that's coming into your life because it's important. This is someone who is emotionally intelligent, romantic, intuitive, someone who leads with feeling. But here is what I need you to understand. This is a different person than the one who hurt you. And more importantly, you are a different person. You are yourself. You are the version of you that has standards. The version of you that can receive love without losing yourself. in it. That changes everything about how this connection will feel. You are not going to repeat the same patterns. You are not going to choose the same person with a different face. You are going to be able to see clearly. You are going to be able to feel what's real and what's not. You are going to be able to hold your ground and say, this is what I deserve. And anything less than that, than this, is not for me. And that will protect you. That will guide you. That will make sure that what happens next is aligned with who you actually are. And I also want to acknowledge something. You might be feeling a little unsettled right now. You might be wondering why I'm saying all of this, why it feels so intense, why it hits you so hard. And that's okay, yeah. That's supposed to happen. When truth lands, it's not always comfortable. Usually it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it shakes you up a little. Sometimes it makes you cry. Sometimes it makes you want to push it away. But I need you to lean into it. I need you to tell yourself, to let yourself hear what's being said. This is for you. This is confirmation. This is validation. This is the universe speaking directly to your heart through me and saying, I see you. I know that you went through, and I'm proud of you, of who you were, of who you have become. And to everyone watching this right now, not just the person this is for, but the whole community of people who feel this energy. You are part of this too. You are part of the justice. You are part of the healing. You are part of the community that stands up and says, enough. And your presence here, your willingness to witness someone else's pain and hold space for it. It's a beautiful thing. It's a sacred thing. You all know what this person went through. You felt the weight of it. You saw the justice of it. And you are here right now, bearing witness to the shift, the transformation, the victory. Because that's what this is. This is a victory. This is someone who went through hell and came out not broken but whole, not ruined but refined, not diminished but expanded. And the transformation is real. The self-worth being reclaimed is real. The community standing behind you is real. And what is coming is so much bigger, richer, more aligned, and more beautiful than anything that was lost. I promise you that. Yeah, I want it to happen. The whole community is on your side now. They have seen what happened. They've seen how you were treated. And they are not just quietly hoping things get better for you. They are actively demanding justice. They are saying, this person deserves better. This person deserved better all along. And we are not going to let this go until everyone sees the truth. This is the power of a community that has your back. That is the power of people who see you and refuse to let you disappear into invisibility. So, let me leave you with this. You made it all the way through. Not because you bypassed the pain, not because you skipped over the hard parts, but because you went through every single difficult, excruciating, character building moment and came out the other side holding yourself together with your own two hands. That is extraordinary. That is strength in its purest form. And the victory is yours. The vindication is yours. The community is yours. The justice is yours. And the beautiful, abundant, aligned future that is coming, that is yours too. You are not broken. You are not damaged. You are not less than. You are a survivor. You are a warrior. You are a person of substance and depth and courage. And nothing and no one can take that away from you. Not ever. I love you all. I mean that. I feel that. And if any of this landed for you, if you felt it in your chest, if you got chills like I am, if you teared up, again, I want you to know that's confirmation. Yeah, that's the truth landing. And I want you to take it with you. I want you to walk out of this space knowing that you are seen, that you are held, yeah, you are supported, and you are about to step into something so beautiful that it will make sense of every hard moment you have been through. The whole community is on your side. The whole community is demanding justice for you. And that justice is coming. It's already here. It's already working its way toward you. All you have to do is keep being you. Yeah, keep showing up. Keep being the beautiful, resilient, extraordinary person that you are. And let the rest fall into place. Because it will. It always. Yeah, it absolutely will. And I'm so excited to see what happens next to you. Next for you.